The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who has warned that the global trading system was facing major challenges due to tariffs, with the developing countries worst affected. He noted that the rules-based trading system is at risk of derailment, pointing to concerns of trade wars and rising trade barriers. Guterres cautioned that supply chains are in turmoil and trade barriers are rising, with some least developed countries facing extortionate tariffs of 40%, despite representing barely 1% of global trade flows.
The United Nations will provide its full support. We and our partners are prepared to move, and I commend the diplomatic efforts of the United States.
In Europe, the European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde has backed the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz's call for a single European stock exchange to support the European listings and economic growth. She noted that true progress required completing the banking union and applying the same approach to capital markets, moving towards a single rulebook, a single supervisor, and unified exchanges.
We'll take it to heart in that period of uncertainty to reduce uncertainty as much as possible.
The German Economy Ministry has expressed concerns about possible supply chain difficulties due to a dispute over chipmaker Nexperia. Spokesman highlighted that the ministry is in contact with all relevant parties and trying to find solutions. He added that chips are indispensable for our industry, so this could have a major impact. The Office for National Statistics has revealed that British inflation unexpectedly held steady in September, raising the prospect of a Bank of England interest rate cut this year. It also offers some relief to Finance Minister Rachel Reeves ahead of her budget in November. Data showed that annual consumer price inflation remained at 3.8% for the third month, its joint highest since the start of 2024. Inflation in the services sector stayed at 4.7%. Additionally, separate figures from the ONS showed factory gate prices rising by 3.4% in the 12 months to September, speeding up from 3.1% in August. Swiss National Bank Chairman Martin Schilgel has expected that the Swiss inflation is likely to rise slightly in the coming quarters, with economic indicators pointing to a stable situation with moderate growth. He noted that uncertainty remains high with the announced but currently suspended U.S. tariffs on certain pharmaceutical products. The downside risks could increase somehow. Schilgel added that the bank will continue to monitor the situation and adjust its monetary policy if necessary to ensure price stability in the medium term. In Asia, the National Bureau of Statistics has revealed that China's total value added of industrial enterprises above the designated size grew by 6.2% year-on-year in the first 3 quarters of this year, with 37 or 90.2% of the 41 major industrial sectors posting gains. Divided by products, 385 of the 623 major industrial goods recorded year-on-year growth in the 9 months. The industrial export delivery value rose 3.3% on an annual basis in the first 3 quarters, with September alone swinging from a decline in August to a 3.8% increase. The data showed that the value added of equipment manufacturers above the designated size climbed 9.7% in the 3 quarters, making up 35.9% of the total industrial added value and surpassing the 30% mark for 31 consecutive months. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun has stated that China is maintaining close exchanges and communication with the United States. The statement came after U.S. President Donald Trump hinted a meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping may not happen. Jiakun added that head of state diplomacy plays an irreplaceable strategic leading role in China-U.S. talks. Still in Asia, Reuters has reported that Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, is preparing an economic stimulus package exceeding $92 billion to counter inflation. The package, Takaichi's first major initiative since taking office, will focus on inflation relief, investment in growth sectors like AI and national security. The plan boosted Tokyo stocks as investors assess its impact on Japan's debt-laden economy. The government will fund the measures through a supplementary budget, with details expected next month. Indonesia's central bank has unexpectedly kept key interest rates unchanged at 4.75%, pausing after 3 successive cuts, as policymakers assess the impact of previous reductions. Bank Indonesia noted that the decision to hold rates steady was consistent with the central bank's efforts to maintain rupiah stability, while also working to improve monetary policy transmission. Governor Perry Warioyo stated that there was still room for further rate cuts due to expected low inflation through 2026. But the bank's current goal was to get commercial banks to lower their lending rates to ease pressure on businesses and households. In Africa, Statistics South Africa has reported that the annual inflation increased slightly to 3.4% in September, up from 3.3% in August, driven by higher costs for housing, utilities and food. Housing and utilities rose 4.5% annually, contributing significantly to the overall rate, while goods inflation slowed to 2.9%. Services inflation accelerated to 3.9%, indicating growing pressure on essential services. The data suggests households face tighter budgets, particularly from rising utility and grocery costs.